Welcome back to the vinyl FAQ series here at Rare Mastering, and today's question is, how much music can you fit on a record? So this is another great question, and one that you need to know, especially if you're an artist and you're getting your music put onto vinyl. And it's also handy to know during the whole recording and mixing and mastering process, because if you're recording it, say an album with vinyl in mind, then you need to know that you can fit roughly 20 minutes per side on a 12-inch, for instance, and that might actually help you make some decisions about the length of your songs, or help you during the mixing and mastering process. So it's a good question, an important question, so let's dive in. Before I go ahead and explain exactly how many minutes can fit on which size of record, it's really important to explain how groove spacing actually works. When a record is being cut, there's a cutting head which is actually cutting the groove into the record, and us cutting engineers can actually control exactly how quickly the cutting head moves across the record, and that dictates the space between the grooves, which in turn dictates how much time you can fit on a record. When us cutting engineers are cutting a record, we have some leeway in the amount of time we can fit on each size of record, because we can control the spacing of the grooves, which can give us a little more or a little less time depending on the length of the audio. So if you've got a really long track or a really long album, for instance, we have to put the grooves closer together so you can fit everything on. But if we're not too pushed for time, we can space them out a little bit more, give them plenty of room, and that means we can put more volume and more low end into the track. Because the grooves aren't actually smooth, as you might imagine, they actually all wobble like this, and they're all next to each other, they're all wobbling slightly, and the more low end you put in, the more and the wider they modulate. So if you've got a bass heavy track, we need to space the grooves out a little more, which means there's less time available. So I hope that makes sense, that us cutting engineers have a little bit of leeway with the cutting time, because we can control how much gap there is between each individual groove. So we can squash things together a little bit, or we can space things out a little bit more. Another thing to mention is the speed. Now, as you may or may not know, records play at 45 RPM and 33 RPM. 7-inch singles are nearly always cut at 45 RPM, and 12-inch records or 12-inch albums are usually cut at 33. Now, the faster 45 RPM cuts means you can fit less on, but you get higher quality, and the slower 33 RPM cuts are done so you can fit more on, but the quality is a little bit lower. It's not as bad for 12-inch records. There's a whole nother video to make about the quality difference between 45s and 33s and why there is a difference. So I won't get into that now, but check in the vinyl FAQs playlist, and I'll make sure, if I haven't already, that there's a video about that down there somewhere. Now let's get on and give you a good idea of how many minutes we can fit on each size of record. So for 7 inches that are nearly always cut at 45 RPM, you can get 5 minutes max cut onto one of those. 4 to 4.5 minutes gives you better sound quality, but you can push it up to 5 minutes. Now for 10-inch records, these can be cut at either 33 or 45, and you can get between 10 to 14 minutes on a 10-inch, depending on what speed you cut it at. Now for 12 inches, if you're going for maximum time and you're cutting at 33, you can get up to 20 minutes on there. But if you want a DJ style 12-inch single and you're cutting at 45, you can get about 15 minutes on there. And it's important to note that all of the times that I've just given you are per side. So you get that much time on one side and exactly the same on the other side. So you could get 2 5-minute singles on a 7-inch A and B side, or you could get 40 minutes split over two sides of a 12-inch at 33 RPM. And what I'll do for you guys is put all that info down in the description so you can go back and reference it anytime. So there you go. I hope that's been interesting and you can now plan your vinyl releases a little bit easier. As always, if you've got any questions, pop them down in the comments and I'll get back to you. Please like, share, subscribe and all that good stuff. It really helps us out. And stay tuned for loads more videos coming about cutting records, mastering for vinyl, and navigating the music industry as an independent artist. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.